All right, afternoon, everybody. At Opel, we use AI to build AI. But before we get into that, I want you to imagine. And when you do, I want you to go back to those golden years when you were a little kid and anything was possible. You imagined being an astronaut, a firefighter, a superhero. Your imagination was limitless. AI is at its inception right now. We don't know what we can't do with AI. The Wright brothers were told that flight was impossible. But what did they do? They went out and they became inventors, they became engineers, they became mechanics and ultimately pilots. And they turned that imagination into a reality and created their own technical revolution. But each of these other technical revolutions that followed all have one thing in common, and that is that they did not transform society. They did not change the way we behave as humans or run our businesses until they were three things. And those three things are easy, cheap, and ubiquitous. I think we can all agree right now that AI is none of those. Have you ever played Fortnite? If you have, you'll know the first thing that happens to you as a novice is you run right into a brick wall. Well, to you data scientists in the room and the leaders of data science teams, you guys are doing this all day long, every day. When you're working with IT to try to find that data and get to it, and you're working with different teams to try to aggregate it and prep it, working with DevOps to spin up different machines and get access to different software. I'm just getting anxiety even just looking at this. Opel enables you, the data science leader or the data scientist, to break through those brick walls. And it does that through our core technology that we call behavioral assimilation. And what behavioral assimilation is doing is it's modeling the behavior, but most importantly, the intuition of the world's top data scientists, putting into the hands of our customers a platform that enables their data scientists to build and deploy production-grade AI models in as little as minutes, hours, or days, depending on the size and complexity. And what's really, really important about this is the fact that it's putting the data scientists, it's putting you right back in the best possible position you can be going forward with this career at this time, adding maximum value, focusing on strategic problem formulation, talking to business people like myself, translating my business problem into a mathematically solvable or predictable hypothesis. And I'll just tell you a quick story. One of our first and largest customers happens to be the e-commerce division of one of the three largest companies in the world. They have 12 incredible data scientists. Prior to using Opel, their chief data scientist was the only one that was going around and working with business leaders on strategic problem formulation. And the rest of the 11 were just manually building models using all the tools we just heard about in the last presentation. And what was happening was they were only able to serve the search team. But enter Opel. Now all of a sudden, all 12 of those data scientists were able to go out and work with every single division in that multi-billion-dollar organization. And as a result, they now are delivering 10 times more production models into production. They're working with 10 times more business units, and their value and impact is 10 times greater than it was before. And as a result, they are now the most valued group inside of one of the most valuable companies in the world. So let's just take a look at the product here. We're going to start a job. This is just a quick churn detection exercise. We're going to load up a file here. We can take any type as long as it's delimited. Here we're going to just make sure that it was read in properly into the system. You can make changes if you want. For example, if you don't think the target is what the system said, you change it to that. Once you're ready, you go ahead and name that model. And here's where we really differentiate from some of the other products that you see out there in the AutoML world. We enable you to build an initial model in 20 minutes. Just try that hypothesis. Verify that your data is accurate. You define the type of problem, your performance metric, you click optimization. That is the end of human interaction required to build an AI model inside of Ople. Let's go into a model here. What Base does now that it understands this problem is it brings in all these popular algorithms and it's doing benchmarking. But it's not using brute force like some of the other folks out there. It's actually doing full feature engineering and hyperparameter optimization and building dozens and dozens of models with each of those algorithms. All the while, it's learning from the peaks and the valleys in each of those, pulling together the best of the best to create an ensemble. We then make it available via a URL. You can do a test prediction here. In this case, we see this user is 59% likely to renew their contract. If it looks like it's working, you could go ahead and copy and paste the code right into whatever language system you want it to run into. We also enable you to actually download that model and run on your own iron. Now we're opening up that black box. You can now see the metrics. You can see the the false positive rates, confusion matrix. You got graphs now where you can actually look at the false positive rates. You can look at the precision recall curve. You can make decisions about how long you want to run this model to get to where you want to go. We take it one step further, feature importance. So here now you can see what features this model is making decisions on. So this is completely changing the game. We've taken that data scientist in a box, we've opened up that box, and there's a lot more to come. This is our latest release you just saw. So, Ople will put you as a data science leader or an individual contributor data scientist into the position of being the absolute hero within your company. And it's going to put you squarely in the middle of this equation. You will be the resource that enables companies to capitalize on their ideas and their imagination. So in closing, I dreamed of being a pirate when I was a little kid. I'm very proud to continue on the legacy of the Pirates of Silicon Valley. But most importantly, I want you to start to embrace your imagination. Remove those boundaries. Stop thinking about those brick walls. Come talk to me, come talk to us. I want to show you how you can just try it. And you can do things that you never thought possible. Thank you, and I'll take some questions.
Any quick questions? All right, obviously.
Oh, wait, we got one right there.
Good. All right, go ahead.
I think you touched upon this, but what would you say is the biggest differentiating factor of Ople with other AutoML, Auto-AI applications?
So number one, our AI, which we call behavioral assimilation, is learning to learn to learn. Just like the best data scientists. They're constantly, every project they do, they're getting better at it. So it's optimizing for speed to be able to build models faster. It's optimizing for reduced compute required to build those models. And lastly, it's optimizing for performance. So with every job, it's delivering better results. Secondly, when you get into that benchmarking and you're working to build the absolute best model possible, there's no standard set of black box scripts that are run. There's no brute force method that's happening. It is full feature engineering and hyperparameter optimization on every model that it's building as it's trying to understand the best way to tackle it. And then lastly, it's actually going into production. So that model is available to go right into use, whether you use it through our RESTful API. We also have customers like the e-commerce company I mentioned and another programmatic ad tech customer that are actually extracting the model from the system and running it on their own iron. That programmatic ad tech company, they're doing 10 million predictions a minute on petabytes of data. So 100 milliseconds latency won't work for them. Does that answer your question?
All right. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.